no idea what you're talking
Rise, a place by Rise opened up. I think we might have talked about it, called 16-bit, and it's basically an old school arcade that's got all kinds of awesome ass games. And it got me thinking, like, if I was going to open an arcade, like, what would be the top? How many rounds do you think, Rise? Like 4?
Yeah, 4 rounds are good.
Like 4 rounds worth. Where, like, what would be the top 4 games I would want in that arcade? And if we did it kind of in a draft. So, like, say I took game X, then you guys couldn't take it. And then we see who ends up with the strongest 4 games throughout the draft.
Now I gotta think of all my old schools.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Do I get bonus points for singing the theme song?
I will take that into consideration when... Actually, we'll have to come to a consensus as to who has the best draft, because obviously I have a horse in the race.
I can't remember the name of the game that we used to play.
Can you sing it?
Ask Rise to sing Qbert. He's awesome at it.
You had the choice of being 4 tunes, so like you could stand in
ActRaiser.
place. Yes. Oh my god.
How's that?
Wow. Wow.
I want that game.
All right. Well, while we're talking for a little bit, just in the back of your mind, try and think of some, because I know I have 3. No, I know what I want my 4 to be. I don't know if I'll end up with them.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that for a little bit.
And wait, do we have to put a cutoff in? Because I don't think, like, given the context of that arcade, we could choose. Not even that I would know any games that came out in the arcade in the past 10 years, but
yeah, I mean, it's like late '80s, early '90s. Like, I'd put a cutoff for
say like 96 is the cutoff.
Sure.
And I just think that's because one game came out around that.
Okay.
I mean, like, all of my games are like, you know, old school fucking arcade games.
Oh, that's
those are
good.
the best ones.
Frogger.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Frogger going hella old. It's a Pitfall up in that.
Oh, Frogger's good.
I was thinking more like skee-ball and whack-a-mole.
You know what? There is nothing.
Nothing wrong.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I think that's a legit competitor right there.
There isn't a person alive. I mean,
Yeah.
they might suck at skee-ball, and that's why they say they hate it. But no one really hates skee-ball.
No. You want to get all Chuck E. Cheese with that? You go for it.
Oh, I will. Better believe it.
Well, then you definitely need a hoop throw.
I was never a big fan of the hoop
I
throw.
sucked at those so bad.
Primarily because I suck at it.
Stand there and toss and toss and toss.
And just toss. And yeah, I was just like, I'd rather toss and toss at skee ball than a hoop throw. Oh, man.
Oh, jeez. So what do you guys think about the whole draft idea?
I like it. I don't know if I can come up with enough.
Well, if you can think of ones, we can talk it out, and maybe we can help jog the old memory banks.
Yeah.
The real question is, how do we determine draft order?
I have a online dice roller that we can.
I don't know. Age before beauty. Y'all motherfuckers go first.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Rise?
Just because I get to go first.
Yeah, right.
And I so badly want Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo. Like, you just can't have an old school arcade without having some form of Street Fighter in there, and Super Turbo is the best of all of them.
Super
That's
Turbo.
important.
Yeah, because it's not the same as Turbo.
Alright, and then... Alright, Rise, see if you can guess what I'm going with.
What are you gonna go with? You're probably gonna go with Tekken.
No, I should not have asked that, because now you're blowing a later draft pick.
Oh, there you go, see?
Alright, I'm going with the old school X-Men multiplayer.
Oh, wow, the X-Men 4 play.
Yeah. I think every dollar my parents ever gave me between the ages of like 8 and 12 went to that game.
Yeah, that was me. I spent my whole allowance every week. I would go to, there was a quote unquote scene, because I lived in a college town. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, here I am, I'm 15, I'm going up in there, and it's just kind of like, all right, today is the day I take down that damn Guile. That's all I want. That guy is going down. And he's like, it got to a point where we just got the people who got really good at the game just kind of knew each other on site.
Oh, hell yeah.
We just kind of knew,
Yeah.
like, what the rankings were in the city. It's like, okay, there's 2 Guile players. They were number 1, number 2. And I can't believe I remember this. Holy crap. We had a Blanca player who was number 4. And we had a Zangief that was 5 and a Chun-Li that was 6, but I finally beat both of them to take the number 5 spot.
You know what amazes me is the people that can pull off the super slow but incredibly diesel characters. I could never, ever get them down. I always felt they were too cumbersome, and
Yeah, they are shambling.
those people always impressed me. And they'd blow you away, because you'd see someone pick Zangief, and generally, they'd be like, he's probably not that good. But like in Tekken, someone picks Gunjack and goes crazy, like, oh shit, I underestimated the fuck out of this guy.
And it's like, what do you do with this guy? It's just like, it gets to be just a big old mess, because you're like, okay, so this is not normal. This isn't something I know how to counter. What the hell do I do with this guy?
Because you never see it. It's usually just people going around like, all right, I'm going to overhead hit you super hard, and then you're going to die, right? Yeah, probably not.
Oh, man.
All right, Chops. Or no, Dak.
Nope, Dak, you're next.
The second prettiest. Dak.
Well, my favorite was Frogger, so I'm gonna go with Frogger. Can't have an old school without any Frogger.
Can't
It's
deny
very
that.
respectable.
Yeah.
Sorry. I need that for my ringatone.
Didn't, I can't remember if they did or not, but didn't Robot Chicken do an awesome Frogger skit once?
Yes.
Or am I crazy? They did?
No, they did.
We'll have to try it. Remind me, Dak, if you can, to put a link up to that on YouTube for everybody.
Okay. No, I loved it, and I got really good at it, and they had it at this pizza parlor, and like I would love to go play that game.
Was it one of the ones where it was like you'd sit down at a table and the screen was underneath like a piece of plexiglass?
No. And the other game they had, well, maybe I should say it because I might want to save it for later.
Yeah, save it for later. Cause Chops, if you decide to be a dick and take Tekken, well, I guess technically you might not take the one I want to pick because there's multiple Tekkens to choose from. So, go ahead, Chops.
Dude, I'm going with skee ball.
Yeah.
Can't fault him.
Mm-mm.
I remember working
Fun for
on
all
my
people.
spin on skee ball. It's like, you know what? Trying to get that highest cup straight on was a pain in the ass. But if you just kind of angle it off right, but put spin on it, it kind of ricochets off the side and bloop, 100 points right in, and tickets start pouring out like a drink. It was just great.
All right, so I got a question for you, Chops. Like how Rise was saying, to get the spin, did you have a preferred method of tossing the skee ball?
Yeah, dude, I've always been a
Baseball
bit
pitch.
of a skinner. Or, like, you get almost like you're bowling, you try to get that curve going. Like, I'm always a big fan of that. They had I used to live in Austin, and they had a skee ball league down there. And I would
Really?
play, like, an actual league, man, with fucking rankings and everything.
Wow.
Put together
Crazy.
teams.
Bring
And,
that back.
That's
it
amazing.
was pretty hardcore. And, I remember playing in it, and we did pretty poorly, but, we went from like just chucking the ball like down the ramp and just hoping for the best and getting slammered to actually doing fairly well towards the end of the season. So I mean, that was fun.
A skee ball league. I want a shirt for that, I don't care how badly I did, just to have a
God.
shirt to be like,
I'm looking them up right now, actually.
wow.
All right, Dak,
Yes.
do you think you could come up with a T.net skee ball league shirt?
That's fantastic.
Hell yeah.
That would be so awesome. There you
Oh
go.
my
They used
God.
to do in Austin, Texas. Austin Skee Ball League. It's still going.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And it takes place
Yeah,
in this
Facebook.
like ratty little dive bar in East Austin, and it's amazing.
I cannot imagine skee ball at a bar. I don't know why. Actually, I know why more bars don't do it. But at the same time,
Yeah, really.
Oh my God, there's even a national competition. It's called Brisky Ball. Brisky Ball is the first ever competitive national skee ball league. New York, San Francisco, Austin, Wilmington, and Charlotte.
Wow.
Good for them. I think Nate lives around that area. Maybe we could talk to him and see if he's down with a skee ball and get him in the league.
I used to be in San Antonio, so I could have just driven up.
That's
Man.
I'm thinking like T-Net needs to get on board and start being a sponsor. And be like, hey,
Seriously.
Oh God, yeah.
T-Net
I
league
would-
sponsor. It's
I
not
would
what you think.
I'd consider moving back to Austin to play if T-Net was sponsoring.
Oh man. That's beautiful.
Wow.
All right, Dak. Shirt time.
Right now.
All right, Rise, you're up for round 2.
I am up for round 2. Which one do I want for round 2? This one's a little obscure, but I pumped, this is like early up and I just pumped so many quarters into this. There's a game called Mr. Do that is just one of my all-time favorites for an arcade eater. I'm gonna go
Can you
with
explain
Mr.
what this game is a little more? I
Yeah.
haven't heard of it.
You have not heard of it. So there's,
It's Mr. Do, like D-O?
yeah, it is. And it basically you run around and you're trying to eat up all these cherries. It's like Dig Dug actually. So you're digging through the earth and you're getting all these cherries and you can win a board one of two ways. Either you get all the cherries or you have this little bouncy ball that you throw and it goes back down the tunnels and bounces down the tunnels to hit the people who are chasing you. So either kill all the people chasing you or you get all the cherries. But there's things that you can dig up, like if you dig underneath the pumpkin and then get out of the way, the pumpkin falls, gravity always goes down, and you can splat a couple people that way. And there's bonus fruit in the middle and all kinds of stuff like that. And just the music is ridiculous. It's that late 80s, early 90s chiptune type of music that's just so uppity and happy and then gets very serious in a very 8-bit kind of way when you get the bonus fruit, and now all of a sudden these chompers are coming after you, and it's kind of frightening actually when they do that in a very Scooby-Doo kind of way.
I'm gonna have to Google that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Old school games and their affinity for having you consume fruit
Mm-hmm.
for random purposes is...
Yeah, there's like this almost like gambling slot machine link to old school games. Like it shows up in so many places. You got stars, you got cherries, you got, what else? You got, plums, coins.
Of course you have your plums.
Right.
Of course.
I'd sing Mr.
All
Do
right.
for you too, but you've never heard of the game, so that
Well, let's hear
won't
the theme song. Maybe I have heard it. I just need, that sounds a little Mario Brothers-y.
It is kind of Mario Brothers-y.
Well, after that quality audio rendition, I guess I should make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of you guys are going to take mine. So I think I'm in the clear on which one I'm going to go here.
Oh, what you got?
And I'm going to go... Ooh. Gotta go Killer Instinct.
Hmm. I still have a couple of those songs on my workout CD.
Oh, Orchid Song? That should have been in a Jane Fonda video. Or that was pulled from a Jane Fonda video.
Oh, man.
And her finishing move, and that was when I was in middle school, and there was a mall. Like, I'd walk from my house to the middle school, and in between, like, we'd walk through the mall when it was cold out, or like around it when it was warm on our way to school. And there was almost nothing in this mall except for super good pizza joint, a candy store, and an arcade. So none of us would ever eat lunch. We just scavenge off our friends and save like the $2.50 our parents gave us for lunch and just spend it all on Killer Instinct and the game I'll probably pick next round.
Hmm.
And we went ham on that. We definitely had an order. And I gotta say, Raz, I'm sorry, but I might have been a little higher than 5th.
Hmm. Well, when you got a game that's got built-in combos as opposed to something you actually have to work for, how can,
I'm I'm going to ignore that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm baiting you so much on that.
We're going to ignore the dig before I launch into a tirade, and we're going to move right ahead to the next pick and let Dag.
All right.
Dag.
All right, Dak, what was your number 2 you were saving up?
Well, I don't know if it actually came out in arcade though, but I used to play it all the time on the computer. And it was, can I use it?
Let's find out.
Chips Challenge.
Chips Challenge. I haven't heard of that.
Wait, is it the one where you have like poker chips?
No. It's this guy and he has to like maneuver this map and he like, I don't know how to describe it as like another game, but like, okay, he'd get in this one map and he'd have to navigate the field and there'd be places that he'd have to move bricks or he'd have to put on some shoes to like navigate the ice or navigate fire or and he had all these levels and sometimes there were monsters you had to stay away from and it was chips like computer chips.
Okay.
And like it was, oh my god, I spent hours on that game and it would give you a code if you finished a round, like a level, and you could start playing. It would ask you if you had a code, and you could put the code in, and you wouldn't have to start at the beginning again. You could just put that code in. So, like, I had all these codes written down everywhere. Like, and what was
instead of an address book, did you have your Chips Challenge code book? Like,
no,
all right, guys, I can get you to level 20.
Paper. I just like write it down really quick because you only had like a few seconds to like get the code, you know. And so that when you started the next time, you could, at the beginning of the game, it would say, "Do you have a code?" And you'd like put in the code really quick, and you could start at that level. And it just, oh god, I spent hours on that game. But I don't know if it was ever in an arcade.
I don't think it was. That sounds way too much in depth for an arcade game.
But it's very old school, like.
All right, we'll give it to you because you know what? They could have, like, if you were doing it now, you could easily set that up.
Yeah, you could.
So we'll definitely let that one slide. And I guess now we know where Mega Man got the idea for how to save your game.
Yeah. I was thinking back to, like, I don't have a whole lot of stuff that I keep, but one of them is a card, just a little 3x5 card that I've got my most valuable, I guess in quotes, Kid Icarus codes from the Nintendo system.
Whoa.
Because they were so long and ridiculous and they were so hard to put in, but one time they just, Kid Icarus it was such a hard game. It's just, the gravity in that thing is just really weird. It's such a hard game, and I've got one that's actually got the max
They
score.
didn't really have the idea of physics down and how to put it into a game.
Seriously, they didn't, it's just kind of messed up that way. So I've got
like
Kid
old school
Icarus.
jousting. You hit the button, and all of a sudden you're halfway across the screen. Like,
oh, man, I might have to draft that one. That is a good one.
All right, don't get ahead of yourself, though. We got Chops up next.
Chops, you're next. What you got? Joust is good. Damn it.
Missile Command.
Oh!
Oh.
Wow.
That's a good one.
That's like pure adrenaline right there.
Wait, Chops, when you're doing like healing and stuff and like the frenetic pace of it, how the hell did you get through Missile Command?
I was never very good at Missile Command, but I liked it. Like, I enjoyed, I never got very far, but, it was easier for me than healing against Dak's fucking prop pally. That's for damn sure. But it was a lot of fun. I did alright for myself. Never great, but, I liked it. I feel like if I were to pick it up now, I would be a bit better at it, but it was fun.
Well, you've been used to, having to deal with plates and Avenger shields flying at your grill. So lines coming at your buildings or whatever probably is like, oh, I'm cool. Don't worry.
Well, it wasn't anything that ever happened immediately. Like, I mean, you could see them coming. It wasn't like you had to like, oh shit, my city just blew up. It was like,
yeah,
okay,
really.
my city's gonna blow up in, 5 seconds. Let's drop a missile there, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, it wasn't too bad.
That's a deep pull. I like it.
Yeah, that was a really nice one.
I have completely forgotten about that game.
That was quality.
All right, Rise, we're looping back around. You're up.
Oh, see, this is bringing back lots of memories. I've had to rearrange a couple things. I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
go for that? It's like,
I
oh.
almost feel like I want to add another round because I'm not going to be...
Yeah, seriously, like it's getting hard to choose. All right, so we're going to have a change of pace here. I'm going to go with Moon Patrol for my third. Moon Patrol was a side-scroller. I won't call it a racing game. It was just like, it's basically it's a 2D thing. You're driving over this terrain, but you have to shoot things both flying above you and in front of you, or jump over them, or both, and the joystick never went up and down. It only went side to side. Which, come to think of it, was just like the Joust controls. That's really interesting. Anyway, so it got tougher and tougher because you would have ships that would throw down these bombs that would cause craters that you had to jump over, and you had to time that as well. So it became a lot of timing, and the most important thing is it was the first arcade game that had a jazz soundtrack to it. It was just
Really?
Yeah.
Is this... Can you prove this with facts, or is this an assumption?
I guarantee here. Let's pull it up right now.
I would like you to consort with Mr. Google for verification here. We don't want to be throwing out false claims here.
Go find for me Moon.
If only you had an iPhone, you could be like, Siri, was Moon Control the first game with jazz influence?
Yeah, really. I don't know of any game that had Moon Patrol theme. Here we go. Original arcade.
It was the first arcade game to feature parallax scrolling.
Oh, was it? God.
Oh my god, I know that song.
That's pretty catchy.
It is.
I don't know
What
if
is
I
it?
call that... Is that jazz, though?
Yeah.
I need to
What is
update
that
my-
called again?
It's called Moon Patrol.
I know I played that.
Yeah,
I
see,
feel like that has to have been sampled in, like some hip-hop songs.
it probably has, and if it hasn't been, it should have been.
That's way too catchy, because I don't think I've played that game, but I was just like, do 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 do.
Yeah, it is just like, it's one of those things you play the game once and you're singing it for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, because that's going to be in the back of my head for the rest of this cast.
Yeah.
For sure.
Secrets of the Draft, throwing off my competitors by giving them catchy theme songs.
Oh, it's alright. Speaking of catchy theme songs, Rise, you know what one I'm picking this round. I know you do.
For a catchy theme song, I don't know, man. Now I'm like, my head's
Let's
been
not say
walking.
catchy theme songs, let's just say sound clips that may or may not be stored on hard drives.
Are you gonna go with Stun Runner?
Hell to the yeah!
Oh my gosh. That's my brother called that the game with the first progressive rock soundtrack.
Oh wait, can you bring up a sound clip for that? Because I haven't even seen that in an arcade. Oh Christ, I can't remember the last time I went to arcade outside of Dave and Buster's in like 10 years, just because they don't really exist anymore. But
Let's see if I can find this. Dear. Oh no, it's in the backup drive. Go to my.
Chops or Dak? Do you remember that game?
Mm-mm.
It was you sat down on, like, it was a sit-down game, and you sat down on, like, this you sat down, you sat down on this crotch rocket type of thing, and
Yes.
the whole game was you just driving, basically cycling down this big, long, endless tube, and you could go, like, you know, anywhere on that part of the tube, so on the sides, the top, the bottom, and where you went on the tube determined how fast you're gonna go, the stuff you gotta shoot, things you gotta avoid, and it was all, like, wireframe.
It was like, at the time, no game had more cool graphics. And I think that's one of the things that drew me to it. Because you could sit on it, and you'd move, and your dude would move, and it had, like, 3D graphics, which at the time was insane. And you could get power-ups and shoot shit. And it was awesome. And you just kept going and kept going. I'm pretty sure there was a time limit, too. So you'd have to, like, get to the checkpoint so you could keep going.
Right, there was. Here we go.
Yes! Right out. Right.
And the whole thing is that weird sounding.
And then 2, fighting with my little brothers about, no, it's my turn. It's my turn, alright? It's my turn.
Oh, man.
Oh, alright, Dak.
Okay, the next one is classic old school, has to be in an arcade, and that's Pong. And I would prefer it at the table that you sit down on.
Ooh. And those are ones that always used to be at the old school pizza joints. That's why I asked if you played that.
Yeah.
They'd have like Pac-Man and you could cycle through them.
Mm-hmm.
Pong spawned so many different variants just because it had that kind of quality in it inherent to it.
Mm-hmm.
That just, yeah.
It's like such a basic game, but still to this day, fun. It's crazy.
So much fun.
And it's hard. Yeah. It's like, it looks like it's dumb, but it's just like, a good, oh man.
But like you could get it if you hit it if you hit the ball while you were moving the paddle like sideways really fast, it would like ricochet it off the side and then across really quick, and the opponent would have to hurry up and get across the whole screen, and you could like win that way.
Yeah.
You just maneuvered the paddle.
There was
the right
timing
way.
involved. And it was daring because you wanted to get it right off the corner.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, like, you could hit it in the middle of the paddle, but that was a defensive play. It was like, holy crap, this is coming at me a million miles an hour, I gotta save this shot.
Right.
That was like the 5-year-old who's at the air hockey table and can't see over it.
Right.
Just hitting it across.
Oh, air hockey.
And also it's like, Rise, the game that you did that the physics weren't necessarily down right. It's like Pong got the geometry and the physics down solid on that.
Yeah.
So you brought that down quick, caught the edge. It was like, pew, pew, just like you were saying, Dak. And if that person anticipated incorrectly, they're done.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, I have to agree. Very strong choice, especially in the third round, Dak.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the steal.
Thank you.
Chops, how are you going to close this round out?
With Galaga.
Oh!
Yeah.
So
nice.
matter of fact, it's so correct.
I think I spent a year as a kid just trying to figure out how to lure that one ship down to take over mine so I could, then find a way to be able to get 2 ships going at once.
Mm-hmm.
So that they would both blow up 30 seconds later and be like, what?
Because you have no idea how to actually play both ships at once.
Exactly.
Who the fuck does, right? Yeah.
I got double blasters, it doesn't matter. You're twice as wide as a target. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was always a favorite of mine.
Alright, Rise, we're at round 4.
This is the closeout round. Oh man. Wow, number 4. Which one? I tell you what, there's, as much as it gave me carpal tunnel, and there's a bunch of other more sophisticated games I'd like to choose from, I'm gonna close this out with Asteroids.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, good pick.
I feel like Chops is upset with that pick.
Oh, maybe just a little bit.
A little bit of saltiness.
Yeah, that's
a little salty.
For a game that was all buttons, no joystick, no spinner. It seems so simple, but boy, oh boy, that takes some work. And they have it at 16-bit, let me tell you, it is beautiful.
Oh gosh, what's that game like after a few L beers?
Harder. Because that ship, it looks so simple. And the thing is, it's in huge, shiny Vectrix. So it's got the really bright beams on the screen. Because it's literally just beaming points of light at your eyeballs. I mean, it's really strong. But the ship comes on the screen, and it somehow, our AI has gotten better in like the last 3 decades. But dodging the crap that ship throws at you is still tougher than dealing with some of the AI I've seen in some of the more advanced sports games in the last few years.
It's like, what's really hard? When you shoot a big asteroid and it turns into 20 little asteroids.
Yeah.
You know what's not quite so hard? Dodging Ray Lewis when you're LT and you got spin moves.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I can handle that.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm gonna close out with Asteroids. Alright, what you got, Yubi?
The reason I wanted to go to 5 is because I'm torn between these last 2.
And
the first one is the original Marvel vs. Capcom.
That's a good choice.
But I can't not choose Tekken Tag.
Also a strong choice.
The combination of Paul and my little Asian girl, Zhang Zhua, I can never will I ever been able to pronounce her name, but she got down in a little dragon stance and had the flip. un-F-wittable, and always and forever will probably be up there with Killer Instinct, is my two most played non-WoW games. Actually, I say my two most played non-RPG games, because Lord knows how much time I dumped into Final Fantasy, but a lot of work went into, and a lot of quarters and lunch money went into Tekken Tag.
Wow. As a side note, and I don't know if you've seen it, but the Street Fighter Cross Tekken game is phenomenal.
You know what? This is a whole nother cast.
Okay.
We can have a huge conversation about that, but I am not a fan.
No kidding.
They took Tekken moves and put them in Street Fighter fashion.
Yeah, see, that's why I love it. There it is. That's probably why.
Yeah. And when my brother could beat me in that game, I realized that was not what I was expecting, because I'm trying to do like normal Tekken combos, which, you know, are button combinations.
Right.
And then it'd be like the quarter circles and such for Street Fighter moves. And I was like, yeah, I didn't sign up for this. Not what I was getting into.
Yeah, that's really true. That's a good point.
So I could see why you would love it, because your first pick was Street Fighter.
Yeah.
But that's also the reason I don't like it quite so much.
All right, Dak. How are you going to close this out?
Well, I have a couple choices. It's hard. Oh, we get two more, don't we?
We're going to do one more, and then once Chops leaves, if you guys want to go one more round and we penalize Chops
Okay.
for only having 4 or 5, we can do that.
All right, then I'm going to go with Duck Hunt. That was the one that you had to
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was one of the packed-in games for Nintendo, and they did have that in the arcade as well.
Uh-huh.
Was there anything more humiliating than a dog popping behind the bush and laughing his ass off?
And they even had that had the sound for that and everything. It's like your sound budget is so small for a game, and you still put the laughing dog sound in.
It's like, let me ask you guys this: how many bullets were expended over the normal course of a game, and how many bullets were expended
on the damn
hoping
dog?
That somehow you could kill the dog.
There's a hack out there that you can download where it lets you shoot the dog.
Really?
Yep.
I would probably intentionally miss every game I played just to unload years worth of anger on that dog.
All right, we're going to get calls and letters from PETA on that one.
Whatever.
It's a
Fuck
virtual dog. We're shooting ducks. The game is about killing animals, okay?
You're right.
Just one happens to be more lovable and fluffy and cuddleable.
All right, Chops, what you got?
Oh man, I don't know. I was thinking about some of my all-time favorites, and
I think you stymied him with the asteroids pick.
yeah, dude, that was my last pick. I wasn't gonna say anything, but that was it. So, motherfucker got it. So I was thinking of, huh?
What about Pac-Man?
No, not a big Pac-Man fan.
Me neither.
I was gonna throw it in for
Just
for
because?
posterity's sake.
Yeah.
Simply because, fucking Pac-Man, holy shit. But I was actually thinking about going with pole position.
Ooh.
Y'all remember that one?
I hate that game so much. I'm so bad at it.
The truth comes out. I hate the game. It may or may not be because I
I'm so bad at it. You had to have such good anticipation skills in that game, and I never developed it well enough. Guaranteed. I've plastered myself on the sign on the first curve every single time.
I did it until I was like 12, and then I figured it out. But you've got to be fucking anticipating everything. You've got to know the maps before you.
You absolutely do.
Play. But yeah, that's where we're going with.
Oh man.
All right, do you guys want to do a speed round here? No conversation after, and get in that 5th?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Here we go.
Rise.
Oh, speed round. Which I gotta come up with right now. Crap. It's a pain in the ass, but I love it too much. I'm going with Tron. The original Tron game is just with the 4 different things you played: speeder bikes and the cone and the tanks. And I'm missing the other one.
Speed round.
Yeah, speed round, Rise.
All right, Tron. What you
Marvel
got?
vs. Capcom. I already said it. That's got to be it. Dak.
Donkey Kong.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, Chops. Close it out.
Joust.
Right.
Oh!
Why didn't I pick that up when I meant to? Oh my god!
We haven't talked about that earlier, Ryan.
What the hell? Oh my god, Goldfish memory betrayed me. What the hell?
Oh man, remember when you could squeeze yourself down in those two? Oh man, never mind. It was no conversation, but it was awesome.
Hours I spent on that game. Well spent hours.
Alright, Chops, do you need to head out, or do you want to talk about the picks real quick?
I've
We'll be happy to talk about them without you, don't worry.
got a little bit of time. Let's chat.
Alright, I will go through each of the picks, and I think I have some categories of which we can evaluate them on. So we have Rise, we have Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, or Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo, whatever. Mr. Do, Moon Patrol, Asteroids, and Tron. Myself, which is obviously the best list. We have the old school X-Men, where Nightcrawler would just evaporate entire squads. Killer Instinct, Stun Runner, Tekken Tag, Marvel vs. Capcom. I'm sure you guys don't see a theme there.
Yeah.
Dak has Frogger, Chips Challenge, Pong, Duck Hunt, and Donkey Kong. And you, cutest of them all, Chops, have Skee Ball, Missile Command, Galaga, Pole Position, and Joust. So, keeping in with the draft order, I'll give you guys 10 seconds. Count them out.
What are we doing in 10 seconds?
You're going to decide which one's the best.
Which one's the best? Alright.
So, Rise, which list, or which draft do you think is the strongest?
If I walked into an arcade and I had to choose between sets of 5, the one I could spend the most time in, the one I was just like, you know what, I would just love doing this. Oh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. All right, I'll tell you what. I love my list, and I would have to go with number 1 for my list, but the fact of the matter is I would sorely miss Frogger, Pong, and Donkey Kong.
Oh, Dak!
I'm just like, I gotta go with those. I'm just like, those 3. Frogger, oh, that's great. Pong, I love myself some Super Turbo, don't get me wrong. But the simplicity of Pong is just awesome there. And as soon as Donkey Kong came up, and see, I love Joust too, but I'm just kinda like, that list, Dak, your list has got enough of everything in there that I'm just kinda like, that's the arcade I'd want to walk in.
Alright. Dak, since you got the point, we'll go to you next.
I would pick mine. Sorry, guys. The reason
Assume you can't pick yours.
Actually, yeah, that's a good wrinkle. I'm glad you said that because I would have picked mine.
Yeah, I think we'd all pick our own.
Chops because of Joust.
Ooh, Joust is getting some love.
Joust is
good game, man.
I thought of it.
Well, it was discussed after round 2, but
and none of us picked it up after that. I think this guy and a bird waving at us like, "Hey guys!"
Chops.
Assuming I can't pick my own, cause fucking Galaga. But, I too would go with Dax, man. I would spend endless hours on Duck Hunt, not gonna lie. And that alone seals it for me, so.
Alright. Well, I love being the one that gets shut out and everything.
Aw, Pookie.
What are you talking about?
I might need a few tissues and maybe some Kleenex to round it out.
How about a round of quarters?
Ooh, I could definitely go for round of quarters.
Here we go.
Give you a whole roll of quarters for your next arcade.
Crisis averted.
I'm gonna have to go with Rise because of Street Fighter. Because out of all the games, and they're all awesome, like Skee Ball I could probably enjoy for a while, but Street Fighter is something I could sit down with a group of friends, and we could probably play that until we got Nintendo Thumb. So Dak, I believe a winner.
Dak with the 2-vote win. Good job.
Thanks, guys. I was going for a multitude, of different kinds of games.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go with yours, Yubi. You had some great games in there, but I'm just like, I can't surround myself with just fighters.
When are we opening this arcade?
Right? Imagine if we could open an arcade with these 20 games.
Oh my god.
I'm
just saying, a good third of those are sitting in Columbus, Ohio.
That would be sexy.
Oh, and I don't know if I told you guys this, but once it gets warm in Ohio, we're all taking a trip out there.
Once it gets warm in Ohio?
Yeah.
It's starting to get colder, folks.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it's too late now. You're going to want to come out later on.
Yeah.
Unless you can all get out next week.
Hopefully they'll still be in business by next summer.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
But I went back to PA for my birthday, and that was in March, and it was still too freaking cold. So it's probably going to have to wait until
May.
When does it actually get comfortably warm, where you don't have to worry about those days where it's like chilled to the bone?
Yeah, you maybe late April. Sometimes you get surprised. You really need to wait until early May, though.
All right, guys, early May. Put it on your calendars.
But
Hope
see,
you have room for all of us, right?
Ohio's treacherous that way, though. Like, we've had, the early May will be like 40 or 50 degrees, and then like 2 years ago, at the end of May, I shit you not, it was 101 degrees outside. I'm like, it's 101 degrees, and we're in Ohio. We're in the Midwest, not the Southwest. What the hell's going on? But that's Ohio, you know? And then it cooled off for June. So you never can tell. Anyway, May's your best bet, because you gotta get out here sooner in case the bar closes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
I'm going to send them like stipends or every month.
A retainer.
Like, here's a couple $100. Just at least keep this set of games open and keep these liquors on tap. We promise to tip the staff accordingly. They'll make plenty of money in that night. They just need to be open at this date.
Oh, man. Yeah, I went up when I was there last Friday. They had the Donkey Kong machine came open. And the first, like, I forget, all these old games are made to be like a total pain in your ass. Like, they're just horrible that way. Where the first time is like, you're jumping barrels and you go up a ladder and then the barrel falls down on you and you're like, okay, I have to wait till after the barrel goes down. So you stand by the ladder and the barrel just skips the ladder and you're like, oh, I don't have to do that. So you walk up the ladder and the next barrel comes down the ladder like, you're an ass. So finally, after figuring that out, then you get to the next level where you have to hit the little pegs on each of the 4 levels so that the Donkey Kong comes, falling down. But those are these fireballs that can't decide which way to go until you do. You finally get past that. Then you're like, okay, 3rd level, now I know what I'm doing. Then Donkey Kong throws a barrel diagonally, so it goes doing, doing, doing. It just kind of bounces its way down, skipping the ladders and the levels to go immediately down towards you. And it has a nice big bounce when it first hits. So you either have to literally start running as soon as the screen pops up, or you have to wait for it to you have to literally just stand in place so that the barrel, you can't jump over it when it has that big of a bounce. You have to wait till it bounces towards you, careening, then you jump it. Now you've got up to the 2nd level. Meanwhile, Donkey Kong's already filled the entire thing with barrels and game over.
Alright, I got a question for you guys. We all went through and we picked our 5 favorites. But are there any that you think we missed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
What would be like Chops? We'll go through. We'll do one more little quick
Bonus round.
yes of the games you think we missed. Not even necessarily one that you say you would want for yourself, even though that's what I'm going to do. But if you can just think of like an iconic game we missed that should be there.
I mean, well, out of 20, we picked our 20 favorite arcade games and nobody picked Pac-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a little weird. But I was also thinking, nobody picked Paperboy.
That was another game
Is
I
that
sucked
weird
at.
of me? I really enjoyed Paperboy.
Paperboy was right.
Never a huge Paperboy fan, but I fully understand why you said that, and it should be there.
Yeah, it should be there. Paperboy was one of those games I loved watching somebody else play. Here's another mind blower. How did we get through 20 games and not have Gauntlet on here?
Mm-hmm.
That's because that motherfucker was made to just eat your quarters.
Wait, Dad, what about ActRaiser? What happened to that one?
I liked the other ones better.
Yeah, I'm not sure ActRaiser was an arcade game. I think that was a home game.
Console version of Gauntlet.
Yeah, really.
I actually think I was thinking of the X-Men game that you brought up, though. Because I don't think it was a medieval game. It was more of a kind of a fighting game.
Or how about the Teenage... Alright, I'm going to lump these 3 into one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Simpsons, and The Avengers.
It's all the same game.
All the same one,
True.
but you were either The Vision is who I rocked out in The Avengers. I was always Marge, because she had the vacuum, and I just felt that was the strongest offensive tool. And in Ninja Turtles, I was Donatello, because Donatello was always my shite.
Why not any driving games like Need for Speed or anything like that?
I think those were all too new for our...
They're all too new?
Yeah, I mean, I loved San Francisco Rush.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
But I think that we were going those really started to appear late 90s. That was that was the second wave of arcade games that came.
Are you talking about the Rush games, like Tokyo Rush and...
Yeah, and this was
San
like
Francisco Rush,
Yeah,
all
the
those.
San Francisco Rush was the first of them, and that, in my opinion, was the best of them.
They were the first driving games, if I remember correctly. Somebody may call me on this, but I think they were the first driving games that actually had a clutch that worked.
Yes, that's
Yes.
exactly right. That is why they were such a big
love
deal.
the shit out of them for that.
Oh
I
my
like going
god.
down those hills really fast.
Yeah,
seriously.
Oh my God.
or putting in like there was a code where you could be the school bus. Or I would rock the bejesus because you could take and like those games like depending on the car there was actually a difference.
Yeah.
So, like if you were the school bus, you could take out some shit in front of you and it was okay.
And they were hard games, like, because they really had a sense, like, you tipped your car too much, you'll flip that thing. You hit the ramp funny, you're gonna go end over end through the air, and it takes a good 20 seconds to land again, because that thing's got so much engine behind it, you just fly.
Oh yeah, it was
the
great. Physics of those games were well done.
All right.
Well done.
I got one that I can't believe we missed. NBA Jam.
You know, that's one of those, that goes in the category of Gauntlet, where it's like, everybody loved that game, it should be in there, but it's got its own feel to it, and I just couldn't get into it in the arcade. It was just not my thing. It wasn't until they came out on a console that my brother and I started tag teaming that we finally started to figure it out.
Super Nintendo, The Kings, Mitch Richmond and Wayman Tisdale.
Hmm.
Bombing threes.
So, obscure number 5, or number 6, I guess I'd like to have on, it's one of those games that, like, if you played it, you love it, and if you don't, you've never seen it. It's, called Wizard of War. And
Yeah, I was wondering if somebody was going to claim that one.
Oh,
man,
that game scared the crap out of me. It was, it had a voice box in it. It was one of the first games that had that little, you couldn't even understand what the guy was saying, but he just sounded so freaky. He was like, and I'm like, I'm 12. I'm like, oh god, shoot the beast! It was like Pac-Man-like screen, like this whole maze you had to run around. There's two of you, and you had little blasters, and you were shooting these monsters that sometimes were visible and sometimes were invisible, so you never really knew where they were. And when you died, it just sounded awful. It was like you'd get hit by this laser, and just like it was drawn out, like you screwed up in a game like you know it. And it's a freaky game.
I was real surprised that nobody picked up Contra.
Oh my god!
Real surprised. If we had like 6 rounds, that'd have been the one that I went with. But
that'd have been
I am super shocked nobody picked that up.
Wow, that's one of those ones that you play once, but you just can't put down because you want to kill a little bit better. It's kind of like Choplifter, where it's just like, okay, I think I've got this down, but you really don't.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the most frustrating games I've ever played, too. And it was worse because, motherfucker, if you played co-op, your son of a bitch partner was always fucking lagging behind.
That's right!
Every fucking time. It's like, dude, let's go. Come on.
Oh, man.
Alright, I got another one. No one even just pinball.
Pinball?
Like Addams Family pinball?
That's a whole nother thing. Like, I avoided pinball because I would have stacked that thing high.
Because you just would have said 5 different games?
Yes, 5 different pinball games, absolutely.
Alright, name me one better than the old school Addams Family pinball.
Name one? Let's go for 3.
Indiana Jones pinball.
Wrong, no. It's just, I remember Addams Family because my dad was like a crazy pinball dude.
Yeah. Addams Family is good, don't get me wrong. But The Shadow was better.
I don't remember The Shadow.
That was it was hard, but it was great. So was Star Trek The Next Generation. That's my next pick.
Was The Shadow based off the old DC comic?
No, it was based off the movie that came out. Off the
I
remake.
like the Terminator pinball.
That was also a good one. Yep.
Hell yeah.
But the absolute top all-time favorite pinball game for me was Goal. It was World Cup Soccer. Yep. So dramatic, and the game was so hard too. It's just one of those things where it's like you had these ramps that you had to get just right, and it just teased you into making you like when you got better at the game and you built those skills, you could feel it. You really got stuff. But by far, I could. In fact, I would be hard pressed. Like if I could choose like one game to play, just like I wouldn't even get an arcade. I get one game in my basement. Goal might be it. I might choose that over Street Fighter.
Ooh.
Was
there an error in your draft picking ways?
No, because I didn't have pinball games in our draft. If there had been, we had at least 2 pinball games in there, and Goal would have been one of them. Absolutely.
I was listening. There was this one dude, Jim Jeffries. He's a comedian, and he's like a pinball aficionado. And like he was on this podcast I was listening to, and he went in depth on all the old machines and why some were greater than others, and it was like listening to someone talk about old cars and why like the old, say, Fords were better than, I don't know, the old Le Mans car or whatever. I'm just talking on my ass now, but something along those lines.
They had eras about that. There's a documentary about the whole pinball industry from like 1930 something all the way up through, say, early 2000s. It's called Tilt. And they did a fantastic job. And the neatest thing about this documentary is the guy that invented pinball games ended up living like forever. Like I think he passed away like 3 years ago. So after, like he spent his entire life in the industry. So when pinball games started making their comeback in the 90s, he was the mentor for all the geniuses that came up with these incredible pinball games. And he started it back in the 30s.
Good for him.
I couldn't even
Talk
believe.
about cross-generational.
Seriously, he was the
keep the
pinball
legacy
grandpa.
going.
It was just amazing and he was cleared all the way to the end. So he was just like, so they had him on these interviews. He'd talk about the stuff he was doing and how he's helping these engineers. And pinball is engineering. I mean, it is really something. So it was just, oh wow.
Goes back to the physics and geometry of the old game.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
All right. Any other games before we close up the draft cast?
The only one I wanted to also maybe add would be Asteroids.
That was picked.
It was drafted.
Was it?
Rise
Yep.
picked it at the end of round 4, much to Chops' breaking
Snuck
heart.
it out from under me.
Yeah.
Fucker.
Stole it.
Okay, well, there was one other one. It was called Stampede.
I don't know if I remember that.
That sounds like an Atari game.
It was an Atari game, but I saw it in a, yeah.
Oh, like a
I saw it in an
multi-choose arcade, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah! Yeah, I remember this game. Holy shit.
Wait, what? It's not ringing any bells for me. Can you guys explain it?
You were this cowboy on this horse, and you had to,
You had a lasso.
You had this lasso that you would like throw out, and you'd have to lasso as many, cows as you could, and you also had to avoid like cow skulls, and I think there were some cactuses too that you had to avoid. So you were basically, raising and lowering your tune as the background was going by, and you were throwing out this lasso trying to get cows. But if you accidentally hit the skull or the cactus, you lost all the cows that you had lassoed.
That sounds like such an Atari type game. It was
What?
always high stakes. You have to really get the run. The longer your run goes, the more you get this perfect thing going on. But if you drop something, one little screw up at the last minute, it's all over.
My dad was old school, and so we had all the Atari games, even the Atari console, and I think that was maybe one of the first games that I ever played next to Pac-Man. And you know what my mom used to do? She used to tell us that Pac-Man was about milk and cookies. And you ate the cookies, and when you drank the milk, which was the blinking thing, then you could kill the ghosts. And so we just imagined Pac-Man eating these cookies. You wanted to get as many cookies as you can, and then once you drank your milk, you were strong enough to kill the ghosts. And we were playing that game when we were little.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Kudos to your mom. Pac-Man was the very first game I learned to imitate. I had a very boring math class, so I tried to practice imitating Atari games, and oh man, I read later on that a lot of people hated the translation of Pac-Man for the Atari because they said it was just nothing like what it was. I'm like, it's an Atari. You can cut them a break, The game, the concept-wise, it worked fine, It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
All right, I got one to close out with. It's not a game I necessarily enjoyed, but I feel like it's a pretty classic arcade one. That's Rampage.
Rampage. That game. Grabbing people out of windows, like, oh, my health's down. Oh, now it's back up. Oh, my God. Reason 43, you gotta get out here. They have it at 16-bit.
Oh, shit. All right, does that wrap up our misses that I'm sure people let us know we still left out 100 more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I'm sure 1,000 people are going to comment on, what about this game?
Yeah, how did you
Oh,
forget
yes,
Tempest? Why
please
isn't
do.
Tempest in there?
Mortal Kombat 2
Yeah.
or Mortal Kombat 1, but I prefer Mortal Kombat 2. There we go. There's another one. All right, all right, you want to go one more in real quick, Deck?
Well, let's hear it from everybody. Let's see what your favorite arcade game was, and let us know. Let us know which one you'd pick of the groups. Like,
You be groups go.
I'm just saying,
You
variety
can
wise.
get some love.
I need some love. I got abandoned by the crew.
Oh, goodness.
So send anything you have. Either leave it on the comments on the website. That's twinking.net. You can hit us up at Twitter, YoWowPVP. You know the iTunes thing, WowPVP. And let us know what we missed. And most importantly, let these three know why my list is the best. So thanks, guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Have a good one, y'all.